Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Where in the World is Juliet? I decided I'm going to start with a Rothschild video. That's where I'm going to start. In my lifetime, I have watched a bunch of documentaries about the Rothschilds because, I don't know, I was sort of fascinated a little bit by the family because this is a family that was only involved in acquisition. I watched one documentary, and this is kind of the one I'm going to focus on. One documentary where they had three different employees, and the sole job of these men was to go around the world and find things that were one of a kind, buy them, box them up, and ship them and warehouse them. Right? That was their sole job, was to acquire these one of a kind items. And an example that I saw in this documentary was, those dandelion lights? It's like a little light, and there's all these little shoot-offs, and then there's like little poofy things, and it's super delicate. And they're everywhere now, right? Well, Lord de Rothschild bought the first one. This is probably about 15, 20 years ago. And so I think what they do is they buy the one of a kind. Once they own the one of a kind, they have the rights to duplicate it and sell and make it like a cheaper alternative to sell to the masses. And so I think that that's like an example of some of the things that they've done. Well, in 2017, and I don't think this was the first one I caught. I don't think it was the first thing that they sold off. But these people never sell off anything, right? You can even go and look at abandoned Rothschild mansions that are still there, all the artwork, all the everything, and they're technically abandoned, right? But they have security still watching over them and everything. Anyway, so there was a sale of the Black Forest. Now go look up the Black Forest. It's their origin of the story, like Hansel and Gretel, and the witch that ate the children, and Snow White. That would have been the Black Forest as well, I believe. And a lot of those stories, Little Red Riding Hood, the origins of those stories, and now we know about the human hunting parties and things that took place there. If you don't know them, look it up. The victims are starting to talk. They were not the only place that kind of thing happened, but it definitely happened there. There's even artwork that represents it because these people are sick. And, well, I don't know whether they're even fully human. But anyway, so they put the Black Forest up for sale in January 2017. And I just remember thinking the timing was so strange. I didn't vote for Trump. I was so disheartened about, I thought all politics was fake. So I didn't vote that year. And I think it was like right before he took office that this property hit the market. And it hit the market for like $405 million, if I'm remembering correctly. They sold it in 30 days for 105 or something like that. Talk about a fire sale. And this is a family that doesn't sell anything. Then there were auction after auction after auction. I even just looked some up, and there were so many more auctions than I knew of them selling artwork. And one in particular, I mean, there was one auction that they had, maybe 2020, maybe it was during COVID, and the auction was everything they got from the royal families from around the world. And then there was another one that they held in London on July 4th, which I thought was really interesting, because the subject of the items in that auction were all things that they had been gifted by American leaders, right? George Washington, you know. And I found that really sort of fascinating, that they would do it on July 4th in London, right? But I've sensed, when I looked up, they've had different art auctions. They've had auctions of porcelain, different items, and it's sort of crazy because this is a family that never sold anything that I can remember in my lifetime. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why did they start selling all this stuff? Well, I think they had to liquidate. I think a lot of their assets were frozen. Go look at some of the executive order. I'll have to get the number for that executive order. Because it talks about the crimes against humanity and the seizing of wealth of people, and the redistribution to, I think, us. And if you need some evidence, the U.S. debt clock right now has a section in it for, I forget if they call it seized wealth or reclaimed or whatever, but basically it was stuff that was stolen from the people. And it breaks it down, and at the bottom it tells you how much they've recovered per the average citizen. And it's like $511,000. And that's per citizen. So I think we're looking at some really interesting things going on. During the time period, again, the 2017, there was a helicopter accident, I believe it was a helicopter accident, that killed one of the Rothschilds. This has been a war going on for a long time, and they've been working, I think, to keep us as safe as possible through the process. But the Rothschilds are just one example of one family, of one small group. They were just the head. Oh, and what I've discovered is, I thought that they were like in charge, right? I thought I've seen the Pope kiss the ring of the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. And so I thought that they were the heads. And it turns out not even close. There's a whole different layer above that we don't know at all. Publicly, the Pesor family as well as some others. And I'm going to get into some of the theories I think, because again, I'll go back and say, I think a lot of these beings are not entirely human. And it's been really fascinating to learn the deception. If you have never watched the movie They Live, go watch the movie They Live. Rowdy Roddy Piper, I think in 2016, put out a tweet that said that They Live was a documentary. And I could see that. And 2 weeks later, he was dead of a heart attack. And you need to go look up the CIA's heart attack gun, which was exposed in the 70s at a congressional hearing. And basically the bullet is like a thin needle, like frozen something or other. So it melts into your body, gives you the heart attack. But there's no way that they can detect that it's anything other than a natural heart attack. So these are some of the fascinating things I'm going to continue to, fascinating to me anyway. I hope they're fascinating to you. And I'm going to start sharing some things as I see them. And I'm going to tell you that most of what we're watching now, I think, is theater. Go start to look up some of the people in Congress. They have IMDb pages because they're actors. Anyway, I want you to have a great night. God bless. And let's just keep moving forward, get through this, and on to a better world for everyone. Bye.